Even if we stayed with the way we are, can we belong to K-Camp as members?
Ask that again. I think you gotta go one way or the other. Either you're going private insurance or back to K-Camp. Other counties rave about how well K-Camp treats them, and one of the, like you said, one of the big advantages is the training available, like for your guys or the sheriff's office, and the simple support system. If you have an incident or a problem, you can call them up and get advice from the legal team instantly.
Mm-hmm. And even the attorney assist that he was speaking of, when we have employee questions, etc., you can contact them. They send you to someone in Folsom,
Yep.
Seacon, can't even say it today, and you've got an answer. I mean, it's got a lot of benefits.
The first one is Bird City Real Estate Fund. This is the lease agreement with the Legion Hall for our meeting October 12th. Highway commissioner, the commissioners and the highway officials for the District 3 that were hosted.
Some of that refundable.
250 is refundable. Yes. Dependable glass. We had like 6 or 7 windows. I think they wound up doing. And it was actually ordered back in November of last year. Lacala is the mower blades. So, on the special machinery fund, we just received our last 140K grader. We'll be making a payment on the 15th for $349,936, so that'll leave us a balance of $83,694.22. So, hardest work done mowing and blading. Patch asphalt roads, and then we also did quite a little fairgrounds work. We did get some graveling in that second week, and then we're back to mowing and blading, repairing washes. I have a road permit, a highway permit, I need to say, for Foundation Energy, where they're going to bore into the road on County Road 7, just north of O, put in a 6-inch polygas line in this bore. There's a map and everything, but everything looks good. And I got 2 of them from the same company. This and they're boring under County Road 1, just north of Road S. Same thing, they're putting in a 6-inch poly gas line.
Does this require the road to be closed?
No, no. When they bore, they actually go on private right-of-way, take a hole or something like that, dig it deep enough so they can set up their bore machine and
Straight shot.
shoot underneath. Ron said there's still TV and some other stuff in there.
There's no TV in there, but you take care of it, it's not. The bed's gone, yesterday.
I just texted him and said, sounds like it's all cleaned out. So, anyway.
When they say 3 feet, that's not from 3 feet from the top of the road, is it?
That's minimum depth. So it's this line has got, they need to be 3 feet underneath there.
Under ditch line.
Yep, yep. I just need a motion to approve them, okay?
You still bounce over them when you elevate, don't you?
No, not all of them. We, just that fiber optic one, you know, and that other gas line, we kind of stay above because they didn't put them in deep enough. We're kind of, they want to have
I
plenty over
always
there.
bounced over them because I damn sure didn't want to blow up.
Right, but most of these, we won't hardly know them, so that's the reason we want them deep enough.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the 2 highway permits for the Foundation Energy Management, permit number 1702 and 1703?
So moved.
Second, all those in favor? Aye. Would you like to read these, Leslie, before I sign them?
Yes, please.
After we pass them.
Huh?
After we pass them.
Yeah.
I haven't signed it yet.
On the sheriff's building and the Good Samaritan building, I have to have an asbestos inspection before I can tear it down. Before I can even get a permit before I tear it down.
Some kind of abatement on that.
What's that?
What's that entail? Who do we contact? And
I contacted Miller, KDHE said Miller and Associates was the closest one, and they haven't got back. I mean, she got back, said they're going to arrange it, but time's running out because
yeah,
I got a month to get started. October 1st, October 12th, I got to be out of there. Inspections got to be, and there shouldn't be anything here because they ended the asbestos in '88, and I think they said this one built in 1990 or somewhere right around that. And Ed and I are thinking Bird City, there isn't hardly anything there.
There
So.
wasn't any plumbing in there.
But anyway, I still got to have
Still
it
gotta
done.
have
It's
it
a
done.
commercial building. If a private house or something was tore down, you know, then that's not required, but we're required to have it. So,
I thought Liam McNeil was going to come up and look them over.
what?
I thought that Liam McNeil
With-
from Millers was supposed to come and look them over.
Well, they contract with someone or one of the.
Somebody else.
Yeah, with their office, but I have contacted them, so, yeah. All right, last meeting, we discussed a little bit about trying to get some grants and things like this. What they do over at Bird City, their rate is 3% funded for a government grant. And I think we've kind of talked about that a little bit. If someone pursued to get a grant or something, we would pay them that 3% of funding. Okay,
I thought we agreed to that.
we did.
we did, but we talked about it in the meeting, but I don't think we really, nothing was finalized on that, so. Okay,
That was my understanding.
okay. Yeah, because she got, we're applying for this.
What is this?
I'm sorry.
What is this?
The percentage on grants. if we contract out for grant writing, we'll pay a percentage of whatever we're awarded with the grant, whether it's 3%, 2%, whatever it may be.
So for instance, like Kelly did the grant for the $10,000 waste tires. We're gonna pay her that 3%, so.
You can do that with everybody.
I think so. That'd be the only real fair way to do that.
Yeah.
Because if they take
Fire
an issue,
department's doing the grant.
if they're successful in applying for their own grant,
I think that's fair.
and we'll pay them a percentage of whatever the grant is.
Didn't we talk that they're gonna do it on their own time?
Yes. The grant writing will be done on their time, not county time. That's what we discussed.
Which would be difficult, so,
Yeah, in some instances, I could see that.
yeah, because we're gonna have to make connections on some of that. But we did that 10,000, and then we're currently trying to get 50,000 from the Dane G. Hansen to do the South Fork Republican River Restoration Project. That is match money, so whatever we can get towards that match, and then we can utilize that match in order to get a NACA grant. So, anyway, it's due tomorrow, and we're trying to get things wrapped up on that one, so we're hoping it'll work.
Okay.
That's all I got. When we get time, I'll visit with you guys on this Austin Peters report, so.
That was all done by previous commissioners. We're not bound to it. Nowhere does it say we have to abide by it.
True. I just wanted to run by the numbers with you guys.
We're taking a pretty tough stance on there. We've actually talked about completely forgetting this Austin Peters study.
So the research I did, you don't care about it?
Not to say that. This was all done by our previous board. There's no ties to it. We don't, every time we sit down in here, somebody throws this thing out at us. We're not bound to it, and we're not going to abide by it.
Okay, so how are we going to look at the mechanic situation? Are we going to increase pay, or are we just going to forget it?
We also talked about, we're going to discuss salaries one time a year,
Okay.
unless it's a new position. We agreed that when those things are signed in what was it, February? And I thought we made it pretty clear, we're only going to negotiate these salaries once a year.
Well, I think that is in that handbook, though. So,
Okay,
but you can only ask once a year.
so we're just not going to have a mechanic up there.
No one said that.
I mean,
That's a new position. We'll make the decision on salary whenever you can find the applicant. That'll be the time to discuss the salary. Or you can advertise a salary that fits into your budget.
well, Dave will entertain the thought if we do an increase there and keep doing it.
And that's fine. That's taking on a new position. That we will talk about. But an existing position,
He's already in that position, isn't
oh, I don't know.
Yeah, he's our mechanic now.
Oh, okay, my mistake. Nothing says this is all set in stone. Yeah, if you've got somebody that has a request, yeah, you're more than welcome to come in here and make it. But as far as this Austin Peter thing and thinking we're bound to it or that it actually should mean something to us, no.
The only thing on the other side, taxpayers paid for that result. It was an equalization study to make it fair with everybody.
But it's turned out to be a flippin' nightmare.
Not if we'd have stayed with it.
Well,
We got a lot of imbalance, it sounds like now.
seemed to be an important tool to the commissioners that did it, but it is not that important to us. I guess it's the bottom line.
Okay. All right, one other thing just to let you guys know, we got the noxious weed letter sent out, have some favorable results on them. So a lot of landowners have come back and said, we didn't know we had a problem. We're glad you notified us. This is working out good. So we've had a couple that was a little offensive because they thought we was picking on them, but it's worked out well. So.
Well, we rescinded our motion, or I did. I guess Leslie will tell you what we've done now.
Basically, in order for any letter to be sent of that nature, there has to be prior approval from the Board of County Commissioners and the county attorney before that is sent.
So the commissioners approved of it, and you're saying?
We rescinded it.
Okay.
We're just not gonna let DJ just drive around and see things and send letters. I think times are too tough right now to be pitting neighbors against neighbors. You're not catching it like I am. I've got people saying, what the hell's going on? And then you got other neighbors saying, well, that neighbor isn't taking care of his problem. I know we got a weed problem, but times are tough in agriculture right now. Spraying $20 an acre from air is expensive, especially if you're renting your grass for $15 an acre.
But it's a state law. You have to control
It might be a
it.
state law, I know, but we don't need to be running around looking for problems. Let's just have DJ go out and do his job, and that's spray stuff when people.
Okay, if we're going to have him do his job, a lot of counties don't even go off our right of way. You're going to take care of who's going to take care of all this private right of way? They only go on if it's enforcement. That's the reason I think this is working great. We're getting this feedback, and a lot of them aren't aware of the problem.
And you don't have the manpower to do it right now, you told me that.
No, to do what?
To go out and spray on private property.
That's correct. But what I'm saying, we can contract aerial that we know is working, and it's what we can't enforce. There's going to be too many acres to enforce things to do their job if we go to that route. And that's the reason I was really surprised at the good results we've been getting on this. So
All we're asking, the only change we're really asking for, is before that letter is sent to a landowner, to bring it in and present it to us, including.
we sent a blanket. We had everybody. We had a list of them, and we just sent them all out. We didn't discriminate. We're getting this back. We're getting contact numbers, who we need to get a hold of or anything like that. It's working well.
And we understand that the blanket letter has come out, but in regards to actually proceeding on anything that isn't contained in that letter, we need noxious weed to come to the Board of County Commissioners and myself and explain to us why the action that is being taken next is why that's being done.
We're not opposed to the letters. I misstated that.
Okay.
The letters is fine. But before action is taken, before there's any,
Enforcement action we're talking.
Yes.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes and no. The law reads, you got 5 days to get that done.
But it's a subjective standard, Dave, in regards to whoever is your noxious weed. You're doing this under the guise of the Board of County Commissioners through the Noxious Weed Department. The commissioners have a right to have a say in regards to how the procedure is going down. Because noxious weed is an employee of the commissioners.
I had a tenant get hold of me. The letter was sent to the landowner. Doesn't live here. They were upset. You mean we got a noxious weed problem and you were supposed to take care of it and you didn't?
Well, and that's where we're finding out. We don't know who rents it. We just need, the fine goes towards the landowner. How are we supposed to are we supposed to find out who's renting everything? Well, we can't.
That's good policy.
You can't.
Why not? Ask the guy who lives across the road or something.
Have you read the law? It says you have to notify the landowner. That's the law. And that's the reason we sent them that
Yeah,
way.
but it's just good public policy if you tell the guy that's working the damn problem. I mean, you know, if his landlord's already a little miffed at him, he's not gonna have it next year. And then the problems, and then we get to listen to it. We're just asking to kind of help us out here a little bit. That's the bottom line. You don't have to really quit what you're doing. Stay within the guidelines of the law. But please notify us.
Before enforcement.
All right, we'll try to, but realize how we going to, when the time comes, there's a narrow window.
That's
And
fine.
you only meet twice a month. So we're going to notify you before we send it.
Need to notify Leslie first.
Okay?
And then if necessary, we can always call a special
Special
meeting.
meeting.
Okay. All right. That's fine. So,
I got a question. I thought we made DJ the noxious weed director.
he is.
So why are you involved?
I'm Public Works Director and I'm overseeing him.
Okay.
He's got a lot of responsibility. He's got a lot of stress with that
So
job.
do you.
Yeah.
And I just don't think you need that problem. You got road and bridge to take care of, and I wish you would, I'm sorry. I told you that last spring. I don't think you need to be out in the country spraying noxious weeds.
I know you said that, but it's difficult getting people to do the job that's qualified, that has the license and things like that.
It's not our job to go spray noxious weeds on private property. It's
So
not
then
our
you-
job.
That's correct, but are you going to do the enforcement? Who's going to do it? You guys are going to support us when we need enforcement?
We'll make that
Case by
judgment.
case.
Case by case, I agree. Okay.
I'll be right back. Hey.
Change public works director.
I think if you look under the definition of Public Works Director, he doesn't fit anyway. Okay, Jeff.
All right, gentlemen and ladies. We've been kind of under stress there at the village because of the construction going on. And they had blocked off that room that you enter from the west side. So everyone was consolidated onto the west wing, as you might know. That's over now. It lasted about 10 days. But Hutton has a general contractor representative, a supervisor there every day now. And there's subcontractors working on the plumbing. They're sawing holes in floors for underground sewage pipes. And they're working on an HVAC unit above the ceiling in that room. They've knocked the walls down, so
Are your residents tolerating this construction fairly well?
when they're all confined there to the west side, it was, staff and residents were getting kind of snippy. But now it's open, they can go back and forth.
Okay.
So it's almost back to normal, but we can't use that one room. And we've engaged some local contractors to do some work. We had Scott Schultz tile 2 rooms, the floors of 2 rooms that had been asbestos abated, take the flooring out. And we had Ron Wick do some electric work. They'd move office cubicles, and those didn't have an electric supply, so we just discussed this at the PBC meeting. And then we've got a catwalk made from the laundry out because they had to bring the laundry around to the south door. And we had, some sidewalks put in that Travis Milne did, and a ramp at the south door. That was all approved by the PBC. That work is done. And now they're working on that large room that you enter from the west door, which is now not accessible to the public. So I got some reports here. July. So we did have a positive result in July. That's because that's when the reconciliation for the prior 6 months appeared on the books. So that was a plus 33,425 for the month. And the apartments were about in their usual revenue stream. And so for the year, at the end of July, we were minus 69,827.
How's it compared to last year at this time? Do you know right off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my head, I can look
Yeah,
it up.
that's fine. I was just curious.
I've got it in my computer. But I can send you an email, or since got an email.
It'll be fine.
We're still dealing with agency staffing. It's going to be resolving through the month of September. There was a CNA course that finished in early August. It had 10 students. 5 of those are staying with us, and 5 of those are going to the hospital. So we're both benefiting from that training.
Good.
But we're still having orientation, and orientation for a CNA with us runs about 3 weeks. So in August, we've got the extra expenses of our new CNAs being oriented, plus having to have some agency come in to fill. For the month of August, we reduced our reliance on agency from 5 full-time equivalents, which is like 200 hours a week, to 3 full-time equivalents, running at like 120 hours a week now. We hope to cut that down to almost nothing during the month of September.
Good.
So that'll help us out a lot, but it takes a while to turn that around. We wanted to have the training start in June. It didn't start till the end of July. And on the nursing side, we have some as-needed nurses signing up. Many of those have been at the hospital. And Connie Jenkins, that retired from the hospital, is one of those that signed on to work.
Full-time,
As needed,
part-time,
as needed.
PRN.
A few, PRN, a few shifts, a couple shifts a week, but every bit helps. Otherwise, not much to report. We're trying to get to where we need to be, and I'm working on the budget for next year. That's been submitted to Sioux Falls. It's not finalized yet.
Okay. All right, Jeff.
Any questions, comments?
No, just keep.
In October, you'll be seeing some construction start. There'll be something to see. Most of what's happening now is underground and kind of low-key, but,
Yeah, we signed lots of paperwork, so
yeah. So,
we're hoping it gets started soon.
yeah. Well, we're trying to focus on the end result, because
Yeah.
it should be good.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
You're on the ledge.
Terry asked me to come in at
Is Great Plains,
2:15.
their contract is, or not Great Plains, Good Sam, their contract is up in the 18th.
The last day of June of next year.
So, okay, so when do we, are they gonna provide a proposal to us of what they'll operate it at?
I'm certain they will. He said they were finalizing the budget now, and I'm sure once they get that budget finalized, they'll make a proposal to us.
I don't know when you wanna, if you want to take that out to everybody, when you wanna do that, whether it be the first year.
I
We have
think
to make
it's
sure that it's understood that they are a 501c3.
right. Just like she said, if they're, either we can run it or it takes a 501c3
Right.
to operate it.
Right.
So I don't think it's any too soon to start looking around to see who else might make us a proposal that fits the guidelines as far as management of the building and the operation of the building.
Can Amanda sneak in right quick so she can go out and do?
Sure.
She just needs like meetings is all she does.
Okay.
You lost your spot, looks like.
Yep, lost my, I don't have a spot. Terry just asked me to come in at 10:15, so, Terry?
Terry doesn't have that authority.
Oh, you did? Okay, thanks.
No.
Oh, okay.
While you're here, Leslie wants the table moved. Which direction?
Oh, no, we're fine. I just need to remember to step up and over. I keep tripping over the leg of my table.
Oh,
And I'm going to move further
can't
back from
get-
the wall this way.
you don't have, we need to go.
But then Scott might be following,
man.
Oh,
so.
that's okay.
I just need a couple minutes.
Sneak in
Better
early.
than-
Alrighty.
We'll see. if we
But I
can-
do gracefully.
According to the employee handbook, it says all meetings and seminars need to be approved by the board. And so I guess I had compliance workshop in Hayes. I got the email August 1st and it was August 9th. And so
Okay.
you guys hadn't met. I went ahead and went, and I guess you're asking for forgiveness on that one.
We appreciate that you come in.
You're
Yeah.
forgiven, but you pay your own way.
Yeah, now you got to pay us back.
Yeah, like, and I talked to my field supervisor from the state, and she said, you know, that was the state's fault. We did not get notice
Right.
out timely, and so she said that is really our fault.
Well, thank you for coming and explaining that. But yeah, we really would, if all possible.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be some circumstances involved.
Like that one was kind of
Yes.
a hit and miss
But
in between meetings.
In all possible, we'd like to have a heads up. Hey, we're going to Topeka for 5 days, and
Yeah, and
That way if somebody in the public
sees, yeah.
wants to know why, we have.
Or they see me in Hayes going, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I see your county appraisers in Hayes, and you're
Yeah,
going, well, we don't
shopping.
know. Yeah, yeah.
the pool hall.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Yeah.
could be anything.
So with that being said, I did sign up for a market modeling workshop in Dodge City, October 17th and 18th. And then also
Casino.
Yeah.
I've yet to be to the casino in the times I've went to Dodge. And then also a residential modeling. It's a week-long course in Wichita in December. So
But there are things that you need, requirements for your job, and
yes, the
Carry on.
workshop, the state actually will help set the model if we have all our work up to date to that point, and then the week-long will go towards my continuing ed hours that I need. So,
thanks.
good?
Good.
Alrighty, thank you so much.
Hi, Candy.
Good day.
How are you? Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
We asked you in just to cover a couple things.
Yes.
We realize we're running out of space down there.
Yes.
And this courthouse is, I mean, we've got stuff stuck everywhere. I mean, we just don't have a lot of space. But we kind of brainstormed a little bit yesterday on where we could kind of shuffle things around. The old sheriff's office downstairs in the northeast corner. Shelley would be willing to move her office over there. But we wanted to talk to Leslie first because give her the opportunity to, claim that room if she wanted to do so. And she told me earlier today that, no, she's happy.
I won't.
She's happy where she's at. So maybe we can come to an agreement that Shelley, if she would like to move over to that office, there are some areas over there that the sheriff is still, there's a vault down there that he's keeping old records in. That will be off limits.
That's why they can't, like with me, I could put a lock on it instead, so I'd lock that off and stuff, but then that way, you'd have that whole area. And we can go down and look at it again.
You mean where I am now?
Where
Yes.
you are,
Oh.
we'll move me out.
Wow.
We'll
That
move-
would be tremendous. I knew you wanted to get
No, I just-
No, I didn't want to get rid of you. I'm just like,
It is hard. It is.
I don't know how
hard.
to, I have to spend more money and I don't have enough where you put the food in there.
But you would have then my whole area and then all that storage behind it.
Gosh.
So,
Wow. I
Now,
wouldn't know what to do with myself.
this is not all set in stone. I mean,
yeah,
Yes.
right,
No, I know, we're discussing.
we're kind of brainstorming here just to
Yes.
figure out what we can do with it. Can you give us a little brief history on the food pantry and how it wound up in the courthouse in the first place?
No, I cannot give you any.
You can't do that, okay.
I just know, so my history with it is that Reva Parnell, they used to have it up in the old jail, and it was an emergency food availability, I assume. I mean, I've been here 17 years, and I somehow got involved my second year or something. And Reva Parnell ran it at that time, and they did holiday boxes, and that was it. And so unless someone called and said, hey, I'm out of food, I need, and she had a small budget, a couple $100 a year, and that's what they did, and so she left, I think 2 years after, like 15, and gave me the checkbook because they couldn't find anybody else to take over. And so I have had the checkbook ever since, and haven't.
didn't Janet though? Wasn't Janet Jensen was in there somewhere?
Janet did it for like 2 years and was kind of the coordinator when I was working full time, and but then she kind of got burned out. We had Kiri Carmen did his community service there for about 8 months and took care of it. Carol Sloper, did it for a year or two, and then in that time. Oh my gosh, 3 years ago maybe, the Kansas Food Bank, we had a medical student and his mom was the coordinator of the Kansas Food Bank, and she said, don't you have food coming from us? And I said, no, I don't know a thing about you. And so that's how we got to doing the monthly distributions, to be more of a sustainable food source. And then that all got linked. So now we get distributions from Walmart so we distribute the second Tuesday of the month in the evening to about 35, 40 families, and they get a box of non-perishables, and then they get fresh produce. It had been provided by Walmart, but that's kind of whatever they have, almost outdated. And then we've been buying produce to give to them because I've gotten we had a matching grant. I think I've gotten about $18,000 worth of grants this year, which is ridiculous. Our normal budget's about $4,000 a year.
That's what I was going to ask you. How is this program funded? Is it by grants or donations?
It's private donation for years and years and years. And so if I run low on money, the Ministerial Alliance is very supportive. And
aren't they the ones that started it? From my understanding of the research they're the ones that started it.
Okay.
And then the courthouse, they didn't have a place, so the courthouse was courteous enough to.
And Carol said her mom used to be the Lutheran church. It used to be the Lutheran church way long ago.
Yeah.
So
and then it came, and then they would have to go through the sheriff's department, and then I don't know what when Janet took it over, then I don't know what the deal was, but then it got moved down here, and then she monitored it.
I don't.
So they
remember
gave them
what
the courtesy,
Yeah.
So in the Lutheran church, just say outgrew the Lutheran church basement, probably.
The only issue I have with putting it in a church is that then the other, each month we have a different set of volunteers that come, and it's different groups or churches, so then if you put it in one, they feel like there's a territory thing there, that they feel like it's their food pantry. Other churches foresee it that way. I don't know that it would be that way, but that's been a little bit my struggle of saying, hey, can you as a church, house me? And, it's nice to have the sheriff's department, because if we have a transient or something, or a sheriff's department picks someone up, then they just go to the department, check them out, and then give them food and vouchers. And so it's kind of nice.
Well, that brings us to one other thing that has become a concern for us is we've had a couple of criminal incidents down in this food pantry.
Are you serious?
Yes. So we would like some sort of way to better monitor this thing. Is that possible?
So
The open door policy is not really working out very well.
I locked it again.
But
Yeah.
they know where the key is. They said that, and a couple people have been in and said that they called and you told them where the key was.
Yeah.
So
I had one family that I was working and
Yeah.
they needed it. But.
and so, but yeah,
So what do you propose?
Somebody there to supervise would be the ideal thing.
So this is where I'm at with it, is that I am about to burn out. And so I already spend umpteen hours. And when I say, you know, I've asked over the years, obviously I've had it for 15 years, and I cannot ever have someone, we've had some that have come alongside and said, hey, I'll run the daily operation. And I know that I've developed it to a point, you know, that, but it's like when you have free food and you have people that are dependent on you,
Right.
you got to do it. But having someone else, like, because that just, what that essentially means is that, Candy, you need to come down here every time there's a family
What about,
that needs to come.
What
And-
about using some of our other resources, say the Ministerial Alliance or a church group or
what about them?
a calling?
They will, on occasion.
Maybe to have a
Yeah.
calling tree that not necessarily call you each and every time,
Right.
but have a calling tree of volunteers that would come down and spend 5 minutes to help these people get what they need and help them out with it. And that way, a couple of things are served. You keep better track of what's going in and out, and we can keep track of the individuals that are coming and leaving. That's what we'd like to see.
Yeah.
Now, again, we're just brainstorming.
We're just
Nothing.
brainstorming. No one's
No, I'm
saying
open
that-
to it because I've been noticing when we unlocked it, because I didn't think that anybody would really go in there. I guess I was kind of naive. I'm like, if you're going to go for something, you're going to go for the freezers and refrigerators, which have been unlocked always. They're in that outer room. That's more expensive. So I didn't know that you were having criminal issues, and I did. Leslie's probably the only one that I told where the key was, but Warren knows where the key is. The pastors know where it is.
Well, obviously, the word's out.
Obviously.
Word's out. The word got out, unfortunately.
But the word probably got out too that it was in the center drawer. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
Well, we
So-
never had
Did
that
now.
issue though. We never, it's just the group. You know what I'm saying? Because we haven't in years past when the key was in the center.
Well, it's just
Yeah.
like everything in life.
Yeah.
And it gets the word.
It only
yeah.
takes one or two instances negatively that affect the whole program. I mean, that's just unfortunately how it happens.
By the way, the Leslie wasn't me.
Oh, no. Oh, I meant the other person. She told us that, yeah. And I mean, and you know.
You should,
I can
you
tell.
should use that to say, we need a little more pay, here for this position.
But it's just like, and Carol doesn't mind, or the deputies that they're here, if they're not busy, I don't mind
Yeah.
helping people.
Yeah.
But it's just been, been revolving.
Are you
Yeah, it's been
serious?
free for all. Yeah, it's been pretty crazy, yeah. So,
How many?
So then to me, I'm like, who's coming in? Because I just think that we're doing it once a month, and if people call me, then I know that they're going in. So obviously they're not, and I don't
And
know
they're not-
what's going on in my
yeah.
How many people do you have help you? Can you rely on anybody?
like to be me, or
Well,
To
no,
rely on
for like the
everyone.
cleanup and the stocking and all of that.
So we have different community groups. So like the high school students, Mr. Morrow will send down during the school, and he has like one or two that'll, like the truck will come next week, and he'll send 2 down on their study hall, and they'll restock. If that falls through, then it's left to me. Or I have quite a volunteer base. But it just depends if they're available, and
Right.
and then each month we have, like this month is the Lutheran Church, so they come and they'll help unload the truck, and then that Tuesday night they'll pack it and distribute it, get the boxes out, and then do that. So it probably needs some more structural. We've been talking with the amount of money that I have that we need some more layers and sustainability, because if I decide that I am burned out, which sometimes I get there, or I can't do it anymore, then it will fall apart. I've tried before to say, hey, is there someone else that's willing to come beside me and learn what I do? So, I pay the bills, I order the food, I talk with the grocery store, and then I coordinate everything out the door and all the volunteers.
We are
So-
more than
Thankful.
pleased. Yeah, more than pleased and thankful that you've taken this on and that you're doing a great job. just a couple things have come up that, you know, we need to address, and
Yeah.
Do you
And-
think though, Candy, if it was in the basement of a church or something, that you could get some, like one of the pastors or something to watch it more, or no?
I don't know.
No, okay.
Because I think we
You've
haven't
never
had
had
to
to.
ask, and so just recently I put it out to Ministerial Alliance to say, hey, does anybody have a room that
Where we
is,
can, yeah.
where there's someone that is more secure? Because I agree, it's like, I didn't know that they would be.
I know, it's
I'm
a,
so sorry. You should tell them. No, and I'd be like, Shelley, oh golly, I'm kind of embarrassed.
Okay,
no,
well-
not as embarrassed as I would.
And like I say, we're just kind of kicking this off a little bit.
Yeah.
To try to get, you know, a little
Some
better
I am
control and
open
some
to
ideas.
anything. I'm like, I don't care if I'm in the same building, if I'm somewhere else, like, and again, it's just me, Amy Bussey, you know, is always a good resource, but,
Yeah.
like, she's just been
And
probably my
Pastor
most
Warren,
consistent.
he's seen
Yes,
stuff.
yeah, and we have a board, they're just super busy, and so they just are kind of my bounce
Well,
off,
if you
kinda.
can start making contact with your people or your board and just tell them that, you know, we had just a couple of concerns. Overall, fantastic program. But a little better monitoring,
not allowed to come
a little
together.
better monitoring of
Yeah.
who comes and goes and
And a little bit more contained, maybe.
yeah.
than food
And
pantry
the other
now.
thing, Candy, is in the building, on the evenings that you distribute your food, if we can kind of keep everybody downstairs and in the west end at least, not having them run through the building or wind up on the second floor. You know, this building's full of a lot of sensitive material that we just can't jeopardize like that after hours.
Because most,
Yeah,
They've got-
we got people wandering the building.
are you serious? Oh, that's just.
So anyway, yeah, again,
And to me, then I'm back to,
But it, once again, is back to you're not having enough people to be able
well, and
to
we're
monitor.
focused on getting them out the door, and
Right.
they come in that little area. And yeah, my focus is on
sure.
distributing the food, and I guess I never,
Well,
you know, I'm like, why would they go anywhere but where we are? But kind of naive, you know, kind of
Yeah.
like focus on my.
We do
okay.
have a camera system set up in the building
Yeah.
now, and,
Okay.
and that did lead to,
Yeah. So to me, then I don't know how to make that more secure unless I have one more volunteer who just sits there and says, you need to stay right here in this area. You know, for monitoring. and-
Yeah, like there, you need
Like
somebody to
if there was
guard
a
your
door that we could
perimeter.
lock, you know,
Yeah.
but there's not, and so.
Well, I mean, we'll go down and look at the area and see what we think we can come up with.
And I can't lock them in that region. I can't lock them from going past the other.
well, guys,
Well,
we're going to move on.
Yeah. We'll
This is
go
just getting the
discuss
ball
it.
rolling.
Yeah.
Go down, take a look, see what you guys can come up with
Okay.
and what'll
with
work.
the security, I'm not, I don't know how I pay the, you know, the expenses of having my own building. I don't consistently have this much money. This is just because I wrote all the grants and we were really successful this year. So that's why I am happy to any solution and any assistance, because it's a huge service and I
Well,
don't want it to go away.
Let's keep the brainstorming thing going, and if you come up with some ideas,
Because I'm not saying that this is absolutely ideal, you know.
no,
because
and neither
I-
are we.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, so,
and we don't want to restrict anything or anybody.
No.
We just want a little better accountability is
yeah,
all.
It's a good program for
Yeah.
people in need. So.
yeah.
All
Have
right,
you thought about having unions?
thank you,
Thanks.
Candy.
Bye, thanks.
Of the people that, like.
Good morning, Dick. You're up.
How are you gentlemen this morning?
We're fine, thank you.
Well, it's been in the paper now a couple of times, not understanding why the Fair Board didn't have a local contractor on the restrooms. So I thought, well, the best thing for me to do is to come in and explain it, and if I'm in trouble, I'm in trouble, not the Fair Board.
Okay.
About probably 6 or 7 years ago, we realized we needed some more restrooms closer to the amusement authority. And it seemed like everything I would try to work at would fall through. So I resigned as president so I'd have more time. And I had talked to 3 different local builders, and one of them said he would do this, and on part of it, well, it was the dirt work. And the others said, that's too big of a project. And so I thought, well, I better go at it from a different angle. So I had called, no, I hadn't called yet. I was in town, and one of the board members of the Hanson Corporation caught me, and he said, could I talk to you a minute or two? I said, yes. He said, is there anything at the fair that you could use some money for? And I thought, boy, this sounds pretty good. So anyway, I said, yes, there is. We need restrooms. And so he said, well, how much are you talking? And I said, well, I don't have a bid yet. I've talked to a couple of guys, and they said, get us a bid. We want to look at it. And so I called, and BAP come up and give us a complete bid for everything except the dirt work. And I knew we could take care of that. And so we talked on it, and he drew up a set of plans. I took it to the fair board, and they thought it looked all right, and they told me to proceed with it. And then about 9 o'clock one evening, the Hanson Corporation was having a meeting, a fair board, or a board meeting. And they said, would you consider making that bathroom larger? I said, well, we just don't have the money. And they said, well, if you knew you could get the money, would you make it larger? I said, well, what are you talking about? They said, we would like for you to make the ladies and the mothers with small children and the men's. I said, well, boy, that sounds fantastic. And they said, well, they had already, I guess, talked to VAP, because the amount that they added to what they had told me the first time that they thought they could do was exactly what we needed. So I figured they had called and asked VAP what it would take to increase, the amount that we received. And when we first started, the first thing we seen that I'll take the blame, that I hadn't thought about, was to be sure that it was handicapped. And so I went to the board, and I told them, I said, we need that handicap accessible. So the mothers and the babies, that bathroom, we put a 4-foot door so it would be accessible. I do not have the plate finished yet so they can get in, but that is a minor deal. So, and then we talked about it, and they said, you'll be way better off if you would insulate between those partition walls. You can't hear now from one wall to the other, and the ceiling. I said, well, I agree with that. And so he quoted a price. The board said that was a good price, and so they approved that. And they come back to us with the suggestion of making it so that it was solid sidewalks from the grandstand to these restrooms. There's no break in the sidewalks. So that added about, I think it was about $700 or $800 to our original bid for just putting a small sidewalk in front of them. So at that time, it went up to $16,100. And everything was good, and they approved that. And when they sent us a check, I think, if I remember rightly, it was $16,200 that they had sent. And when we got that done, the east wall still showed the studs and stuff, and I didn't like that very well. So on my own, I made a deal with VAP to cover them back walls, and that's taken care of. They asked for half up front. I paid it, and they haven't got it finished. So, but as far as the fair board was concerned, that was where it went. I took it to the fair board. Each time we needed something changed, and everything was approved. But I felt like, and I was aware of what the rules were. I've been on that fair board over 20 years. I think you fellas are the fourth set of commissioners that I've come and talked to. And so it wasn't that I was trying to break the rules, but I had not been able to find anyone. I talked to 3 different builders. 2 of them said that's too big of a job for me. And the third one said, well, I'm awful busy, but I'll dig the line for you anytime you want it dug. But like I say, if I'm in trouble, it's me. It's not the Fair Board. A lot of the Fair Board, we have about 4, it's either 4 or 5 new members. And of course they, didn't know. I tried to continue to remind them of different things when I think about it, that they can't just approve something. Everything has to be by the commissioners. And I think when I first approached the commissioners, you and Terry wasn't on when they give me permission to start working on these restrooms.
Well, we've never had, really, that I'm aware of, any official complaint or anybody come in and to complain to us.
Yeah.
But I've heard talk about at least one contractor, local contractor, who was a little upset because he didn't feel he had the opportunity to even bid on the project. Now, because he didn't see
Well, the
anything.
one contractor I talked to that told me he'd do the dirt work, one of his, I don't want to name it, but next to him jumped me about that. And I said, now, I talked to your dad about that. And he said, then later he told me, he said, you were right. He said, Dad said he forgot that you had talked to him about that. Because at the time, the dad said, I'll do the dirt work, but I'm not interested in doing the complete job.
Well, I guess the one thing, they're going to have to remember, they're going to have to advertise and receive bids.
I knew that, and I thought, well, being that I'd asked them, and being that they approached us, that's why I did it. So like I say, I'm the one. I don't want you guys to get onto the Fair Board, because I took everything, and told them what I had done.
And again, no one's come in and officially complained about anything. This is just the talk that I've heard. And without having any knowledge of what took place last year, we just wanted a little better clarification on how this all unfolded and what the circumstances was. That way, if I'm asked again, I at least have a response.
Yeah, and like I say, I have a complete set of records as to where each time we changed anything, I took it to the Fair Board. I told them when I started, I said, I'll just work through it, and I'll bring everything to you. So anything that's in here, the Fair Board knew about and approved it. And we had I had a lot of different help. I was down there working one day, and a fellow just stopped and started helping me do it. And so, but main thing I wanted to make clear was that the Fair Board didn't intentionally step out and do anything. And I mentioned to them once that, and when I was telling them the different things, that we were supposed to go through the commissioners. They had to give us permission first. And that, like I say, it was the other commissioners that originally had me start. But I think we have the best fair there is in the whole country, but it's still, it takes quite a bit of, I remember when I first went on the Fair Board, and they were just talking to them, they said, well, we need you guys to keep the buildings up a little better. But when I was voted in as president, they asked me to come in, and that was the first thing they said. We want those buildings in better shape. And I think we've worked towards it. We've still got things to do, but when we had the offer to put up our roof over the Sail Arena, why, again, I got permission, and the one past commissioner jumped all over me and said we did that illegally. I said, well, if it was illegal, you explain to me why it has the signature of all 3 commissioners on it. And he never did say anything else to me about that.
Right. Well, you might remind the Fair Board that anytime they're going to have expenditures like that, we'd really love them to come in and at least discuss it with us, and especially Leslie, to make sure that all the legal aspects of it is correct.
Yeah. Well, like I say, the minute you guys went in, I should have done that. But I had already talked to the other group and another thing that pushed me on it, when they talked to me, we had to have the bid in before the end of the year. They had some money that they wanted to put in last year's, however they do their business. And that was another reason that I pushed and hurried to get the contract. They said, as soon as you get the contract signed, then it's okay. But that was another reason.
So the Hanson Foundation paid for the entire project. The Hanson Foundation paid for the entire project.
The building. Originally, the Fair Board, for some reason, did not want to accept the bid on the electricity with it. And so I had already told them, I said, we have to put up the money for the bathrooms. That was one of, for the for the plumbing part. That was a request of the Hanson Corporation. So the Fair Board agreed to $2,500. And that was before we had upped it. But that we put that much into it.
You put 2,500 and they put 16 too.
Right. And at that time, the electricity had not been, I don't know why I keep going back to the plumbing had not been let on contract. The Fair Board asked me, I got 3 contracts or 3 bids. They were all county bids, and there was a tremendous amount of difference, but they took one of the higher bids instead of the one bid. One bid was $4,000 and one was $8,000 and one was $83,000, and they took the $8,000. So, but like I say, that's, other than that, I think.
Okay, well, that helps.
But
I appreciate
and like
it.
I say, anytime any of you want to know anything about it, I've got every bit of the paperwork. I most generally would give the treasurer a copy, but I wanted to have it in case anybody ever asked a question about it.
All right.
So,
Well, thank you.
all right. Thank you, fellas. You're doing a good job.
I appreciate that.
Thank you much.
All right. I'm glad you're here early, Ryan. We're ready for you.
First off, I have a couple transfer property agreements. This is for some equipment from Homeland Security that will be coming to the county. Our tracking software that we have, like for big emergencies where we keep track of everybody coming in, our current stuff that we have is going outdated and they're no longer going to support it. So Homeland Security is buying new equipment to replace this. So it's all going to app-based iPads, all that stuff. So I think just the chair has to sign to accept it for Cheyenne County.
In all the agreement, we have to keep it up and
Have to add it
accountability
to
for
our
it.
inventory, and we have to,
Accountability and upkeep.
and then we have to have the equipment ready when the highway patrol comes in and audits us. So is basically what that is, which you're familiar with.
Guy used to have that job. That's a good job.
And then so it's for the iPads and the software, and then there's also Yeti generators that they have solar panels, and that's how they charge up. So if you don't have power, you can hook the equipment into those. So
You gotta put them on the roof.
what's that? The solar
You have to
panels?
put them on the roof.
No, they come on a tripod thing, and you just stand them up outside. So, granted, they probably never experienced their
So
Western
to save
Kansas
electricity,
winds.
you can just run these outside. and hook 'em up.
Unless it's got to sign that too.
The other thing, I just wanted to kind of update you guys on the disaster declaration 4319. We are wrapping that up. That was for the snow, ice storm, power outage back at the end of April, May. So that mainly affects the city of St. Francis and the city of Birch City. The county doesn't have a lot going into that, but the cities are going to get some money back for some of the costs that they incurred as a result of that. So hopefully next week we will have that wrapped up. Yesterday we had the training in Colby for the new state system, where all the plans are going into. It's all going computer-based. So all the emergency plans now will be entered in through the software through the state, and then they're viewable with logins. So we will be getting you guys all logins for these plans. Because if we ever have a big emergency, obviously there are authorities and things change.
And hopefully guidelines.
Yes, and so those will all now be in the computer system. So I can still print hard copies, obviously, but the nice thing about this is if I go in and make a change, then I don't have to reprint 20 copies of the plan every time I make a change. So.
And if electric's off, you can hook up your solar panel too.
Right, yeah. Yes. I always keep a hard copy, so internet, electricity, all that can fail. We all know that. So, but then the county plan, we'll be revising it, and hopefully by the end of the year, it will go in for approval, and then you guys will have to promulgate it again, which will make it effective for the next 5 years. So that will be coming. September 12th through the 15th is the annual Kansas Emergency Managers Conference in Topeka. Jenny and I will both, as it stands now, attend that conference unless you guys have any reservations with that. The travel and the hotel rooms will be reimbursed through the funding from the state. So we pay for it initially, and then later on there's reimbursement through the grant process that covers that. So
I have no problem with that.
I feel
It'll be good for Jenny. She'll need that extra exposure to.
it is several days, but one, we get all of our hours in for continuing education. So like for my certification, I can get all the hours done in one setting. But then also the big thing is just the networking with all the state agencies, and Jenny can kind of become familiar with them. We learn new stuff every year. So.
Yeah, I found those connections are invaluable.
Right. So that's about all I have, unless you guys have any other questions for me. So.
I don't know, maybe we've had pleasant weather and
yes,
no major issues.
Go to Texas, I think you could learn a lot.
Yeah.
Yes. Unfortunately, when this is all said and done, I think there will be lots of changes coming down the pike for us as well.
That's what's scary.
Yeah. So I have a feeling our plans will get a whole lot bigger. So. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah. An abatement, which we approved and signed. Okay, sure. No, just the one.
Sounds like they were charging him for a stick home, and they adjusted it back to a manufactured home.
No, it didn't change that much anyway. I'm gonna tell them I live in a damn cave.
Beth might come look.
Of course, as many problems I had last week. It was a hell of a mess. Basement flooded, the sewer backed up, and then the
I hate
dishwasher line blown out. Wrecked the kitchen floor. And then the toilet goes in. So I plumbed all last week. It wasn't good.
You know, we get a little bit of water in our house or a sewer backup. It's horrible. Can you imagine what them poor people down there are going through with feet of water in your house?
That stuff's gotta be getting stagnant itself.
And you know how hot it's going to get down there. As soon as the clouds clear off, it's going to be miserable.
I got mine when they're just about a 2-footer around the floor drain, so it wasn't so bad. The one that was bad was when the line under the dishwasher blowed out.
Underneath the floor?
No, it went on top floor, but it went underneath the tile stuff, that false floor and stuff, so it's bumpy. It left me tore up.
Okay, can I get a motion to go ahead and approve this abatement for $223.08 for Larry Finley?
No, somewhere.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
He just didn't want to do it.
I know, and I saw that.
I always look at him because he always says that. So.
We've got a transfer of funds. It's for the county match of the forestry grant. We went from rural fire to grants 0014 to fund 220. I believe that was for those radios.
Yeah, that's what we talked about. Transfer of funds, $2,434. County match with the forestry grant for the rural fire department.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All three of you will need to see.
Roger must have been in there. I didn't hear him say that.
Speaking of which, did you want to talk about the job description for the fire chief?
Sure. Do you have it?
I didn't bring it with me. Once I got up here, I realized I didn't have it with me. But the description is done for fire chief, so I think
Can we go ahead and advertise for the
I think
position?
so. I think we're ready.
Okay, why don't we do that?
Do you need to advertise since you're doing it?
Well, if they want to go ahead and offer it first from within, because that is promoted in the employee handbook that we have at this time, is that you want to promote from within, then that would be great. If no one's interested
Then
from
we
within the
open it up.
department, yes, then you would open it to
So
the
basically, we
public.
need to open it up to the department heads or the existing firemen in Cheyenne County.
Right,
Bird City and.
right.
Right.
Bird City and St. Francis.
You'll take care of that?
And I'll make sure that we've got everything finalized on that job description, because there's like one or two more questions I had for Scott,
Okay.
which we can just wipe that portion out from the job description. But I know, Terry, you've taken a look at it. Roger, I didn't get you a copy, but I will do so. However, it would appear that we're good to go now.
Good. Good. I would like to move forward with that. Get that done. I think that'll alleviate some of our concerns by having one individual to deal with.
I just have a couple of quick things. Willie Martinez has put in 2 weeks' notice on the transportation bus. He's just saying he's bored. He lives in Bird City. He can't clock out and go home and come back. It's just not feasible for him to do. I've been with Karen, and we're going to get an ad together and try to get a couple, maybe new drivers. One to fill his spot, maybe one to fill in when other people are doing something.
Well, I have some more information I received this morning. Advertising for the program in the newspaper is required by KDOT, but it isn't sufficient alone to really promote the program. It takes some PR work by all of us, which I agree with that. So if we can get an ad in the paper with the requirements, and then we can kind of promote it from within to try to get a couple of additional people to,
Now, Cheyenne County has a website, right? Could you use that?
Sure.
Facilitates promotion?
With Facebook page.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I mean,
Do it all now.
yeah, or
I got a
even,
Facebook page.
yeah.
yeah, you're in it every
Social-
week. Why don't you
use
pay
social
attention?
media.
I do.
We have your
I
pictures
don't even do
of
Facebook. I
profile.
don't know how to
That's the
get
first
in.
thing everybody sees, Cheyenne County, Red Garden.
No wonder nobody seen it. It scared the hell out of them, didn't it?
And I don't know whether I ever brought it up. Rita asked for the transportation van to be used for EMTs, and I contacted KDOT, which kind of oversees this, and he was absolutely
No, I got the same answer.
So I was,
They were wanting to carpool. Their EMT's class is going on in Colby. So every Sunday they carpool to Colby. But they have more people than they can fit into one car. So he simply asked if they could use the transportation van on Sundays to transport all the EMT students to Colby. And the answer from KDOT was no,
Why?
because it's their van.
Ah,
But it's supposed to be able to be used.
we'd have to advertise that it's going to Colby on Sundays. and-
There was a whole
There was a
length
whole
of-
list of
It
stuff.
was ridiculous.
Yeah,
equality for use?
yeah, it was, I was very surprised.
What do you mean you ever? None of you, somebody said they wanted to go to Colby.
But right now, we're only 5 days a week, so if you open it up on Sunday, then you'd have to start advertising it for Sundays.
Somewhere I have that email from KDOT. I just can't remember where it's at.
I know I talked to Reed about that, but I was thinking about that last night. I forgot to say anything to you guys about that.
See, and that's kind of disheartening because,
Well,
like,
that's
over the
under a grant,
weekends,
yeah.
well, over the weekends, you know, like with the motorcycle museum and all the people that are coming in, I think I heard there's been like 7,500 people come through the motorcycle museum. If somehow that van could be used to take people like on a tour of the breaks and show them, you know, the pretty part, because you can't ride your bike up there. But everyone, you know, you trying to coordinate something like that. But now what you're saying is, if that's done, then you're running it 7 days a week.
Yeah, I was a little surprised at that.
Yeah, it's too bad because this one is something that would have helped the entire Cheyenne County, sending these people to EMT classes.
Exactly.
And
save the county.
KDOT saying, no, you can't do that.
Another thing is, Reed had a family emergency, wasn't able to get the EMT's payroll in. I mean, I paid his office and him in the regular payroll. I'd like to run that tomorrow, if that's all right with you guys, to get the EMT's paid.
Yes.
And then we can approve that at the next meeting.
Just
Well,
the
I
last
can't-
couple of days.
What's that?
Just the last couple of days.
Saturday morning.
Whatever day he was, I can't remember when he came back, but I had already done payroll and he hadn't had time to do his for the EMT, so if that's all right, I'd like to do that tomorrow so that they get paid. And that's all I do.
Okay. Do I hear a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'll sit around and sign all these papers.